record right now. Hi, neighbor, Wilma. So now, Wendy, are you here as in just you, Wendy, or are you at the extension office? Maybe she
I came to Mercer Extension so that any homemakers who couldn't watch at home could come in and I'd be here with them. So there are two of us here from Mercer County at the office watching.
Okay, great. Glad you all are with us. We'll wait just a couple more minutes and get everybody settled. There's a couple more people coming in through the waiting room. Oh, and I see Wendy has done this, but if you would go ahead and put your name and county in the chat, we'll see who all is here and from where everyone is here. All right, well, it is 5 after, so I think that we're all settled and we're ready to get started. So we will get started. And to my FCS friends, if you all would help manage the chat and mute and, kick anybody out if they're being unruly in our Zoom session today. If you would help manage that, that would be great. And if there's any questions that I missed, please let me know. All right, well, welcome everybody today to the first of the Fort Herod area Extension Homemakers Leader Lesson. I am the teacher today for this lesson on chair exercises. My name is Elizabeth Coots, and I am the Extension Agent in Woodford County for Family and Consumer Sciences. So just to remind you that these series will be held, or the Leader Lesson series will be held this year every month, the 4th Tuesday of the month at 11 o'clock. And hopefully you have received in your counties what those lessons are. And if not, we'll certainly make sure to get those to you so that you can participate with us. They will be recorded and we will send a link out later. So if anybody misses it, you can watch the recording. And I think I mentioned before that this is the first time that we are hosting the leader lessons like this. Of course, last year they were all solely on Zoom, but this year we are hosting watch parties at the extension offices. So as you have seen and as we've talked about, we have some participants at the extension offices in other counties. So we're so glad that you all are here today. And we'll go ahead and get started with our lesson here. I'm going to share my screen, of course. And actually, it's funny because who was it? Marilyn was talking in the beginning, and Jeanette, that they were talking about how they just need some motivation. And that is one thing with exercising, period, that can be hard is motivation. So to start, I'm going to play this very brief video about motivation. And hold on just a minute. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that little video. That is part of the, well, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and they have the, well, and we'll talk a little more about that, about your goals and what is recommended for Americans physical activity. You saw on there that it was 150 minutes. We'll talk a little more about that. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. There we go. Okay. This is a little odd because I have my computer here and then I have it cast on the big screen here in the meeting room too. So I cannot see you all unless I look up there, but that's okay. All right, so I first want to talk a little bit about the handouts that you have. And if you don't have these, I will put those in the chat so that you can reference them later. But there's one main publication, well, I should say there's two, I guess, publication that comes from the series called, called Matter of Balance. Okay, hold on just a minute. So there's a publication called The Mind-Body Connection, Basic Standing and Seated Stretching Exercises. And of course, we're focusing on the seated exercises, but we'll incorporate a couple of standing exercises as well. And then a publication that goes along with that video that I talked about from the Department of Health and Human Services about what's your move and goals for physical activity. But I'm going to focus a little bit on the mind-body connection, basic standing and seated exercises. Okay, here we go. So this, for those of you who are leaders who are going to be teaching this lesson, these first couple slides come from your facilitator's guide on information about teaching this lesson. So the goal for today is to learn about research-based information related to seated exercises in order to meet the physical activity guidelines for Americans. I know that's a bunch of but basically what I want you to do today is to learn about why it's important to exercise and how you can meet your goals. So today's objectives, we're going to assess your personal physical condition and safety in order to get started with any physical activity regimen. That's one thing, you need to be familiar with what you are capable of. If you are under the care of any doctor, or if you take medications, or, and your limitations. That's one thing that I always talk about when I teach any physical activity class or talk about physical activity. You know what your body can do. And as I'll say today, when we're doing some of these exercises, if you can't stretch that far, don't stretch that far. Do what your body can do. We're all different. You might have an injury or, something that limits you from doing certain things. So no judgment, do what your body can do. Any movement is better than no movement, that's for sure. I want you to be able to list benefits of physical activity. We're going to learn about some seated exercises. I want you to identify ways that you can incorporate some of these chair exercises into your daily routine. A lot of times when we think of the word exercise, we might have a negative connotation to it. We might think of, it might be negative and think, oh, I don't want to exercise. But if you're watching TV or participating in a Zoom session, you can easily do some of these exercises. So how can you incorporate it into your daily lives? And then finally, we are going to practice some seated exercises together. The whole session isn't going to be on those, but that, of course, that's a focus because I want you to learn those to be able to incorporate them. So I want to ask you, and if you would put into the chat, and if you would like to unmute and speak, you certainly can. What are some benefits of physical activity? Please share. Okay, someone said here, heart health. Yes, definitely. A healthy heart is one benefit of physical activity. Longer longevity. Yeah. Better sleep. Yes.
Someone said improve your flexibility.
Yes, improve your flexibility. And I think also there is a misconception of chair exercises. I think people think that chair exercises are easy and just little movements, and they can be, if that is where you are, they can certainly be small movements, but you can also make chair exercises a workout. It really is, whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Somebody else said good for heart health. Yeah, definitely.
Arthritis.
Arthritis, yes. That's one thing too, that if you do have arthritis pain, it might be a little uncomfortable to do certain movements or to do certain exercises. But as you probably know, if you have arthritis, if you don't do it, it makes it worse, makes it that much worse. Let's see, make you, balance. Yes, improves your balance, can make you more flexible, improves your mood and helps you sleep better. Yes, definitely. And for me, sometimes I think, like my husband always wants to walk, or he runs after work. And so he'll always ask me, you want to, meet and walk? And sometimes I'm like, I just want to go home, and, I'm tired from a long day, and, maybe not sleeping too well at night because of a little one. But when we go, I'm like, okay, I'm glad we went. And you've probably experienced that too, where you think, I don't really want to go, but then you do it and you feel better and you're glad that you did it. I never regret exercising or being physically active when I don't really feel like it. Let's see, exercise increases energy too. Yep, definitely. I always feel better after I move. That's for sure. Okay, so I think that you all pretty much hit all of these. One of them that maybe, or a couple of them maybe that you didn't hit, prevention of falls. We have a whole class and series on fall prevention, and physical activity, even in small forms, is a huge part of that program and prevention of falls. So yeah, I don't know if anybody mentioned weight either. That's one thing that for some people is a big focus of physical activity, but it can definitely maintain your weight. And that very last one, which you all mentioned, decrease heart disease. But yeah, physical activity can lower the risk of some chronic diseases. And when we talk about physical activity too, we're not talking about, a strict exercise regimen. We're just talking about moving. And in the information from the leaders only have the handout from chapter 4 from the physical activity guidelines for Americans, because it's a very long document. I didn't want to have that printed for everyone. But in there, it talks about moving and different things you can do to move. And it says, sit less and move more. That's basically the goal. And it's kind of blending those two together in this program and thinking about chair exercises. We're not necessarily telling you to sit more, but we're just saying when you're sitting, you can move also. So we're kind of combining those together. So this, the chat. This is directly from the Move Your Way publication. This one, if you can see my little video there, and everyone should have that one. The goal, and as you saw in the video, per week is recommended to have at least 150 minutes of moderate to intense physical activity. And anything that is moderate to intense is basically, it gets your heart beating fast. So you could feel your pulse, to say, okay, I'm vacuuming. Is this, a good physical activity? You can feel the pulse in your neck or in your wrist and determine if your pulse is beating a lot more. If it is, then that's a moderate to intense activity. And 150 minutes sounds like a lot. But if you break it down to, let's say, 10-minute chunks of time, that's only 15 sessions, basically, a week, about 10 minutes, and you'll reach this goal. And I think, too, when it comes to the amount of time, 150 minutes per week, a lot of people get bogged down in the details of counting up those minutes. And you don't necessarily need to do that. You can think about how active you are in your everyday life anyways. And you can incorporate that physical activity with things that you do around your house or, in your garden, and count that as physical activity. And then I have to mention too, muscle strengthening activities. So it's recommended that 2 days a week, it doesn't have, an amount of time on here, but 2 days a week to, do something to strengthen your muscles. Of course, we think of lifting weights, but that could be, if you're moving cans of food in your pantry, or like I was putting all the jars of crushed tomatoes that I canned yesterday in my cabinet, and that was a little bit of muscle strengthening activity for me. So some of those things we build into our daily lives. So just keep that in mind, that you don't have to cut out, or you don't have to, build time in specifically for this. Incorporate it into your daily life. Okay, and so in addition to this, if you are doing activities that are vigorous intensity, then you only have to aim for about 75 minutes of exercise a week. And how do you determine the difference? So as it lists here, and this is all from that publication, is it moderate or vigorous? There's a talk test you can do. So if you can still easily have a conversation with someone, it's moderate activity. If you are having trouble speaking because you're breathing that hard, it's vigorous. So if you are doing about 75 minutes a week of activity where you're having trouble talking because you're breathing so hard, that's vigorous activity. If you're able to still talk, but you're still a little winded, like if you're walking fast with a friend, that would be moderate activity. Okay, so this is the publication we're going to look at, and now we're going to get into doing some of these exercises. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to switch cameras. And I'm going to move back. I have my cheat sheets here. Okay, can everyone hear me okay now that I'm further away from the camera? Good, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this publication, the first part of the publication is basically just saying, are you ready to get started? Are you healthy? Kind of those things that I talked about in the beginning, and just some safety reminders. So, and like I said, I'll say it again, do what your body can do. Don't, you want to push yourself. You want to feel your muscles stretch. You don't want it to be painful though. You just want to feel that stretch. So if you would, I think everybody's probably already seated, but if you would sit in your chair so that you're ready to do some movements. And if you're at a table, you can kind of scoot back a little bit. And now you can sit in the chair however is comfortable for you. So you do want to have your feet flat on the floor. And if you want to sit back in the chair, you certainly can. I like to sit up a little bit in the chair. I feel like I'm working my body just a little more if I'm not, leaned back in the chair. But the first thing I want to talk about is posture. So, and this is, you don't have to follow along in your handout because these are in the handout, but they're in the information that talks about standing and seated posture. So I want to talk about seated posture. So you have your feet flat on the floor. Your back is straight, like you're up against a wall, and your shoulders are kind of back, not too far. Your chest isn't puffed out, but your shoulders are just kind of back and relaxed. And one thing I always like to remind people and remind myself when I'm doing any physical activity is to relax your mouth. When I first started doing yoga, and the instructor said, relax your tongue. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. But then I noticed that I was tensing my mouth and my tongue. So I was like, oh, okay. And then the other thing is to remember to breathe, which again, that kind of seems silly, remember to breathe. But sometimes when you're stretching, you tend to hold your breath. So I'll remind you to breathe as we do some of these exercises. So just relaxed, chin level, looking straight ahead. But the first exercise is breathing. That's one important aspect of physical activity, of course. So I want you to just take a minute, take a breath, calm down where you are, and you can close your eyes if you want, but I want you to breathe out as much air as you can out of your lungs, and then take a few very deep, slow breaths. And be careful when you do this, because sometimes people will do this almost too slow and too intense, and it can make you lightheaded. So again, don't push yourself, just do it to where, it feels comfortable. You don't want it to be uncomfortable. I just want you to focus on that breath. So go ahead and breathe out all the air in your lungs. Breathe in through your nose and then out through your nose. And I've heard some people say that with deep breathing, if you are, particularly stressed or tense, that when you breathe out, you can make a noise like a sigh, like makes me think of childbirth. But maybe that, there's a reason for that. And there's some breathing in childbirth because your body is very stressed. So you can think about that, if you wanted to make a noise, make sure you're on mute. But if you want to do that. So let's just do that a few times. In through your nose, very slowly, and out through your mouth. And you can also put your hands on your stomach, or one on your stomach and one on your chest, and feel the movement of your lungs and your diaphragm. it's a good activity to do really when you're getting started, or in the morning, of course, is a really good time to do that when you're just getting started with your day. Okay, so let's do a few upper body stretches. So this one is the cable stretch, and it's called that because if you can imagine there's a cable on your back and up against your head and stretching you up. So what you're going to do, focus on that posture, and you're going to basically look down, your chin to your chest as much as you can. Don't bend your back. Keep your back straight. We're only moving the neck. So you should feel a stretch right back here in your neck and your upper back. So remember, keep your upper body straight and just look down so that you can feel that stretch in the back of your neck. And then we're going to hold that for just a few seconds and then look straight and relax. And we'll do that a couple more times. So look down and keep your shoulders steady too. So we're really only moving our neck on this one. And then back up and relax. And then back down. And back up and relax. Actually, hang on just a minute. I realized something. I'm going to spotlight my video in case I'm not big on your end so you can see maybe a little better. Okay, so we're going to continue with another neck stretch. And this is a diagonal neck stretch. So what you're going to do is turn your head about a 45-degree angle over to the side, and you're going to look down. So similar to that cable stretch, but now we're doing our neck at an angle. So a few times back up. We're going to come back to the center and then look to the other side and look down. And you should feel the stretch right in here, right in your neck and opposite shoulder. And then come back to center, back to the opposite side and look down. And we're not coming all the way to the side, about 45-degree angle. Back up to the center and opposite side. Look down and stretch. And back up to the center. We'll do this one more time. Look down and stretch. And again, keep your shoulders steady and relaxed. Back up to the center. And last one on the other side. And try not to tense like your arms. And don't hold your breath. Back up into the center. And again, with any of these, make sure that you're doing what your body can handle. Okay, now one of my favorites that I do this throughout the day is the shoulder stroke, a classic shoulder stroke. So again, sitting posture, you're just going to bring your shoulders up. And this one, you can kind of scrunch your neck down and feel that, and then drop them. And instead of just dropping them, push your shoulders down. And you can even put your hands on the side like this. Well, almost like, somebody's pulling your arms down to feel that stretch in your shoulders and in your back. So then we'll bring them up again, shrug them, scrunch your neck, and then relax and stretch down, and relax and scrunch up, and relax and back down. And one more time, scrunch, relax, and stretch down. Okay, and then shake it out. The next one is called the executive stretch, which is kind of a funny name, I think. But you're going to put your arms behind your head, just not quite on the back of your head, kind of on the top of your neck, just kind of in that bend there. And you're just going to pull your elbows back as much as you can, just kind of like you're just stretching. This one sometimes makes me want to yawn because it's like a good morning stretch. And then we'll relax. Just bring your elbows down just to relax. And then back up and stretch back. So you should feel it in your shoulder blades and a little bit in your arms too. And then bring it to the front and relax. And back up. And one more time. Arms are crooked. I'm looking at myself on the video. I'm like, and then back together and relax. Okay, and the next two are depending on, if you sew or if you're at a computer or if you're doing something, maybe even cooking or chopping with your hands and your hands get tired, even if you don't do those things, you might have tired hands. So the next two are, it's a hand massage. And this one is something that, you might not think of that, doing for yourself. Often you think of someone giving, you a massage, but if you just massage your hand, just pressing your thumb into the palm of your hand and up your fingers, and relaxing that hand that you're massaging. That is something that, it's like, oh yeah, I should take more time to do this for myself, is massage my hand. If you garden or, and any of those intricate activities with your hand is really a good little massage for yourself, a little TLC for yourself. It's better if you do this after you put on lotion. So after you wash your hands and it's a little easier to massage. But that one's an easy one that you can do when you're just sitting there. Okay, the next one is the wrist stretch. So stretch your arms out in front of you, and you're going to put your hands up so you feel the pull right here in your wrist. Okay, and you're going to spread your fingers, and then you're going to drop your hand and kind of pull your fingers back. And you want to keep your arms straight, and then you'll pull your hands up again and spread those fingers. And I had some wrist pain in my left wrist. This is a really good stretch for this. I can feel that. And then relax and go down and pull your fingers back. You'll kind of pull your fingers like back toward your wrist like this. And then come back up and spread your fingers out. And make sure to keep your arm, we tend to want to bend, which you still get the benefit if you do that, but you want to keep those arms straight out, kind of like you're putting your hands up against the wall. And then you'll drop your wrist and pull again. Very simple exercise, but something that, usually after these kind of exercises, you're like, oh yeah, that felt really good and that was really easy. Okay, so the next one, and some of these you can do seated or standing. I have a standing desk, so a lot of these I will do, just at my desk as I'm standing there, moving around. Okay, so the next one is the upper back shoulder stretch, and let me make sure I'm getting this one right. So okay, so we're going to put our hands out in front of us again, and turn your hands so that your palms are facing out, like you're swimming. We're not doing that motion, but that would be a good motion to do, like you're swimming. You're going to do your palms out like this, and you're just going to stretch, almost like somebody's pulling your arms in front of you. Make sure to focus on your posture with this one. It's really easy to kind of slouch over, but we're just stretching our arms forward like this. Then we'll kind of, relax and go back and forth like this. And if you want a little more intense, you can put one hand over the other and stretch, and you kind of feel a little different stretch in there. But if you do that, if you do something on one side of the body, you have to do it on the other side of the body. So then I'm going to switch my hands here and pull that stretch and relax. Just like someone pulling my hands and letting go. And with most of these little exercises, there's more that you can do. You can add in, or you can move your body in a different way to make it a little more intense, or to make it a little less intense. Like with that one, if that's a little too intense, maybe you could hold your arms down, or you could, just do your bend your elbows and hold it out, whatever works for you. Okay, so now we're going to do an upper body stretch. And this one, you're going to hold your fingers together, and then you're going to turn your hand out. And again, only do this one if it is comfortable for you. And we're going to stretch forward. And see, this is one you can add in, turn to the side, turn your body, your torso. You're getting a little stretch in with this one, back to the center, and then to the side. This is kind of a Tai Chi move in a sense. We'll do this one a few times. And you could also add to it and go up. You know, if you wanted to do a stretch up in the middle and over to the side, you could easily do that. Get a complete different stretch like this. Come to the middle and then we'll go to the side. And then what if you went up like this? You can feel it really in your side when you go up over to at an angle like this. And then we'll relax. Let's see. Okay, then we have a classic shoulder stretch. So take one arm and put it across your body. Actually, kind of like you're patting yourself on the back, really. And then take your other arm. You're going to press this arm back. And you can pat yourself on the back while you're at it. And then we'll come back and switch arms. Pat yourself on the back with the other arm and press, just gently. You don't have to, you're not trying to win a prize here for as far as you can stretch, just to where you can feel resistance. And then back to center and switch. You could, with these exercises, it's recommended to switch back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the other side now. If you wanted, you could certainly, do 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. But you're going to get a little better stretch when you go back and forth. Okay, back and forth. Do one side of the body and then the other side of the body. All right, the next one is the foot rotation. So now we're going to kind of look at the bottom part of our body. So this one is probably easiest if you sit back in a chair, but you're just going to hold one foot out and you're going to rotate it about 3 times. Try to relax the rest of your body and also try to only move your ankle. So you can look at your leg and your foot and try to only move your foot and the ankle. Try to keep your calf still. It's really hard. So now switch in the opposite direction and do about 3 rotations. And then rest your foot down. And we'll switch to the other leg. Lift your leg up. Do about 3 rotations, trying to keep your leg steady. And then we'll go in the opposite direction. About 3 rotations. And relax those feet. Now, one thing that I like to do if I'm sitting for a long time, this is one that I do common if I'm sitting in a meeting for a really long time and I just, I don't have the opportunity to get up and move. So I want you to lift your dominant foot. So I write with my right hand and my right foot is dominant. So I'm going to lift that foot. Now, I want you to write your name with that foot. Cursive is easiest, I think, but I want you to just write out. I have a long name, so it's going to take me a little bit to write my name. And then put that foot down when you're finished. And then I want you to lift your left foot, or excuse me, your non-dominant. For me, it's left, right? For most people, but lift your non-dominant foot. Do the same thing. Write your name. That's harder, yes. Have you ever tried to brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand? If you have not, that doesn't have anything to do with chair exercises. That's more brain health, which we have a lesson on that actually. But try that tonight. Try to brush your teeth with your left hand. It is a kind of a little mind game. So anyways, that's one that you can do. Just write your name, or sometimes I'll write the alphabet. With my foot, one foot and then the other foot. It's kind of a mind game, but then also obviously it's moving your ankle in lots of different directions. And you can also do that standing up. That's a good balance. You could stand up and write your name or write the alphabet. And of course you can hold on to a chair because you're so focused on writing with that. Okay, so the next one is another foot one. It's a point and flex. So you're going to put and I think this is easier if you sit up in your chair a little bit, but let's go back a little. So you're going to put your foot out in front of you. Turn this. You put your foot out in front of you and point your toe up to the sky, where you can really feel that stretch a little bit in your calf, but more in your ankle on front. And then relax and switch your heel on the floor. Point your toe up kind of towards your knee as much as you can. And then back, and we'll switch. We'll do that a few times. Point your toe up and stretch. And back and switch. Now see, I always say, all right, we'll do this 3 times, and then I'll lose count. So we'll switch again. And I think that was 3. We can do 1 more for good measure, though. There's no problem going to 4. And then do the opposite foot. And of course, you can hold this stretch for as long as feels good for you. I think the instructions say 10 to 30 seconds. But if you want to hold it longer than that, or if you want to, make it a workout and go back and forth, a whole lot like that, you could do that as well. The next one is a seated forward bend. So this one is definitely easier if you sit on the edge of your chair. It's so exciting. You got to sit on the edge of your seat. So your feet flat on the floor, and you're going to sit in that posture again, and you're going to hinge from the hip. And if you want to put your hands on your hip, that might actually make it a little easier. But you're going to hinge forward. And actually, I don't think the directions say this, but it is a little easier if your feet are a little wider. Okay, maybe a little wider than shoulder length. But you're going to, again, hinge from the hip. So you're going to keep your neck straight and just bend forward. And then once you bend forward, you're going to kind of, I don't want to use the word slump, but you're going to kind of curl a little bit. You're going to put your head down and get a stretch. Go as far as you can, that's comfortable. And then very slowly, you're going to come back up. So just come back up into the seated position. And I say very slowly because you can easily get lightheaded if you come up. So let's bend forward and we'll do that one more time. So hinge from the hip, keep your head straight. Once you get bent, curl your head under, like you're touching your chin to your chest. Feel that stretch in your back and then also in your neck. And we'll hold it here for just a minute. And then we'll come back up very slowly. So you don't get lightheaded. Go as slow as you need to. Okay, so the next one is a seated twist. And I love these kind of exercises. I think twist just, I don't know, it just feels refreshing. So pick whichever side you want to go to. And it is easier if you have something that you can grab onto behind you. And I'm actually going to sit up a little more in my chair like this. And I'm just going to twist my body, again, keeping that posture. So you're sitting up straight and you're just twisting your torso. Keep your legs as straight as you can. Put your front arm on the outside of your leg. And then I'm going to grab the back of my chair with the other arm. And I'm just going to look over my shoulder and twist to where I feel that stretch. And then you're just going to hold that for as long as is appropriate for you. And then slowly come back to center. And now when you come back to center with a stretch like that, you don't want to be like a rubber band and pop back. You want to slowly come back. And you've probably heard that with physical activity movements like this before. Make your body work for it. Like if you're doing, arm raises, instead of raise your arms and drop them, use resistance and bring your arms down. So that's what we're doing with the stretch too. So now we're going to go to the opposite side. Remember, focus on that posture before you turn. Have your arm on your hand on your leg, and then turn and look over your shoulder and hold that stretch. And then slowly and intentionally come back to center. We'll do that a couple more times. We'll go to the opposite side, hand on your leg, and stretch. And then come back to the center and over to the opposite side, hand on your leg, arm on the chair, stretch, and come back to center. Okay. Okay, the next one is a calf stretch, and that's actually a standing one. And if you would like to stand up, you can, but I'll show you how you can do it in your chair. And it's best if you're going to do this one in your chair to have a chair that doesn't have arms, since you can't do it with if you have arms. So if you're going to stay seated, you're going to move to the edge of your chair to where one leg is like hanging off, and you're going to take that leg back as far as you can, and you will get that calf stretch. And you'll actually get a little more of a stretch by sitting because your body is bent differently in the back, and you can just stretch that calf muscle in the back. But if you're going to do it standing, and if you want to stand up, you can, and you can use your chair. I'll go this way. Let's see. You're not going to be able to see my head, but that's okay. You just need to see the body. So we're going to take one leg back, not too far back, about what is, as far as you can reach, just stretching your leg back. You're going to put your leg flat on the floor. You're going to bend your front knee here, but you don't want your knee to go over your toes. You want to stay in line with your foot. You want it to be straight. And you should be able to feel that stretch in your calf. And you can just hold this for a few seconds. And this is also a good balance. You can hold on to your chair. And if you need to, that's, definitely do that for safety. But if you can let go, maybe even, hold your arms out in front like this without holding onto the chair, that's a good balance exercise. And then we'll bring that leg back and then switch legs. Again, just bring the leg out behind you. Ooh, this side is tighter than the other side. I can feel it. And you'll notice that too, that one side is easier than the other, especially with balance. If you've ever done any balancing exercises, today my left side might hurt like this, but tomorrow it might be on my right side or next week. So we'll come back to center and we'll do this just a few more times. Opposite leg back and stretch that calf muscle and balance if you want to let go and balance. Or you could even bring your arms up ahead to do another stretch, or one arm, if you want to just do one arm. Come back to center and switch legs. And that leg back. Remember to look at your knee and make sure that it's in line with your ankle and not over your toe. You can hyperextend your muscles that way. And we'll come back to center. Do the opposite leg. And you'll notice, so I'm wearing tennis shoes today, but I'm not wearing, workout clothes. And that's one great thing about chair exercises or, these exercises. So we'll come back to center and switch last time, is that, you don't have to wear exercise clothes. You can do this in your house slippers, or you can do this, if you're dressed up ready to go to a wedding. And then come back to center. Okay, and then the last one, two more, is the hamstring stretch. And this one I do not recommend doing in your chair because you could easily fall out of the chair if you do the sitting. But this one, you will just grab your ankle. And actually, since we're standing, I'll mention here to focus on your posture again. I know we talked about that when we were sitting down, but when you're standing, it's just as important. So make sure that that your back is straight, your shoulders are back and relaxed, and your head is facing forward. So you'll just lift your leg behind you and grab your ankle. I'll turn so you can see this way. And you're going to keep your leg straight. Okay, so I'm not bending it back like this or forward. It's just pointing down to the ground. And you should feel the stretch not only in your leg, but also in your arm a little bit where you're holding your leg like that. And you can let it down and switch. And this is another good balance exercise. It's a good balance exercise even holding onto your chair. But if you wanted to venture out and let go of your chair, you can do that. And then we'll switch to the right, or the opposite leg, whichever leg you started with first. Leg, opposite. switch back. We'll do one more round on each leg. I'm gonna try to do a little balance here. And then last time. Remember to focus that posture. And again, and I see somebody in the room who's doing, a little modification because they're not able to hold their leg up that high. And that's what you have to do. You know what your body can do. So you can't, can't lift your leg that high, then do what you can. But also, oh, that's a good tip. She said you can cheat. And actually, that's not cheating. I would consider that using your resources wisely. That's right. She said if you're having trouble grabbing your ankle, you could grab your pant leg and hold it up like that. So yeah, that is a good tip. Thank you for sharing. Oh wait, stand back up. The last one is standing again. It's a lower back stretch. So this one you're going to stand again. Focus on that posture with your feet about hip width or shoulder width apart. And similar to how we did when we were seated, we're going to, and if you want to put your hands on your hips, you can. We're going to hinge at the hips and bend straight over. Now this one, we're not going to curl down. We're just going to bend straight over. So you should feel that stretch in the back of your legs there and a little bit in like your lower back. And then very slowly, we're going to come up. Anything where you're bending the head over, make sure to come up very slowly. So we'll go one more time, hinge from the hip, and try, when you're bending forward, not to, like you're sitting down. Try to stay straight and just bend straight over. And see, I have a benefit. I can see myself in the video, so I know what my body looks like. Okay, we'll do that one more time. Just bend forward from hip. If you want to throw, another little stretch in there from side to side, maybe you're welcome to do that. And then we'll come back to center. And we are about at time, so I'm gonna switch back over my video here. I hope you all enjoyed those little exercises. I always think that with exercises or movements really like that, they're such small movements and they're so easy to do. And then I tell myself, and you might do the same, why don't I do this more? Because they're so little and they're so easy just to do. And I feel better after I do them. So I hope that you feel the same way and that you're motivated to incorporate some of those into your daily lives. Okay, so I know we are getting to the end of time, but I wanted to show you one resource that is part of the Move Your Way publication that you have. So I'm just going to share my screen really quick. And if you have to leave, I understand that. So when it comes to, being active and setting goals, this website, and it's on the back bottom of the Move Your Way publication. There's lots of information on here, but one thing I wanted to bring to your attention, about a quarter of the way down the page, there is an interactive tool that they have where you can build a weekly plan. So a lot of us are goal oriented. And this is something that you can create your goals. You can choose, in this first step, why do you want to be active? Okay, so there's all these options: ease pain, be a role model, have fun, click, whichever ones. I'm probably going to mess it up because I clicked all of them. But what activities do you want to do by myself, with friends or family, with kids? Show me activities indoors, outdoors, at home, away. Is there anything, particular if you're pregnant, postpartum, or taking care of a baby? And then you can choose what activities you want to do. How many minutes per day do you want to do this activity? How many days? And you can add it to a plan and it will make a plan for you. And so this is what you need to do to meet your goal. So like I said, I know we're short on time, so I don't want to get into that, but that's a resource that you have. And I think it's a very easy, handy resource to just build a goal. Sometimes it's hard to get started with that on what to do. So the last thing that I have, of course, is an evaluation. And actually, do you all have any questions while I'm pulling that up to put that in the chat? Any questions at all that you have for me?
I do. So how do you get on that program that you just talked about?
So that is what I mentioned is this publication. It is on the back at the very bottom is the website.
And where do I get that at?
This publication.
Yeah.
Let's see, who is asking that?
Marilyn.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't see it pop it up. Oh, thank you, Carla. Carla put the link in the chat, and I will put in the chat also the publications so that you can have all of those.
And Marilyn, if you want to stop by the Jasmine County Extension Office, I can give you a hard copy, or if you want to private message me your address, I can send you one in the mail.
Okay. If you can bring it out to the car to me, that will be great.
Yes, that'll work.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put them in the chat just in case too. And let's see. And there's the link to the evaluation. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Did anybody else have any questions or comments?